everyone, Anum here. Today we're sitting on my super comfy couch in my living room and I just wanted to have a cozy chit chat with you guys. I've got a hot cup of coffee, which is very rare these days considering I have a newborn son, and I really wanted to talk to you guys about my C-section delivery, what happened, how it all went down, how I was feeling throughout the experience, recovery, so from hospital stay to like the first few weeks, as well as now I'm 3 months postpartum and what that's been like. So let's just jump right into it. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video, which was the birth vlog, you may be a little bit confused, and I highly recommend you go watch it. I'll put a link down below, but it kind of covers a lot of different things that were happening throughout my labor and delivery process, and I promise it's actually not that graphic, so you can totally watch it. It's a lot of me and my husband explaining what was happening throughout the few days that we were in the hospital. Then we introduced you to our baby. It was just so exciting. There were tears. We were so happy. I tried to labor for quite a few hours and nothing was happening, so we had to opt for a C-section delivery. And so I didn't really go into why or like what was happening, and I was really emotional at the time, so it was really hard for me to talk about it, but I'm feeling much better. My baby is 3 months old. He's super happy, super healthy. So it's just time to actually talk about it. Let's rewind back to maybe when I was about 31, 32 weeks pregnant. So I had just gotten on my 3rd trimester and I had my baby shower. It was around the time that I was super stressed in my life. And to be completely honest with you guys, I actually didn't know that I had so much anxiety. I had so much going on in my head and I wasn't fully aware in terms of like where my head was at and where my body and mind were at. They just weren't colliding. It's something that I realized as soon as my son was born, and I was like, wow, I had built all this anxiety for no reason really. Actually, there's just a lot going on when you are pregnant. You know, you don't physically see the baby, and for a long time you don't even feel the baby really moving in you. You don't hear anything, and there's just something growing inside you, and you can cause yourself anxiety thinking about, oh my god, like, is he or she okay? What can I do to make things better? Should I be eating less? Should I be eating more? Should I be doing this, that? All the doctor's appointments make you more and more nervous. So there were so many factors that went into the 1st and 2nd trimester. Even though I didn't show it, I had felt so much tension inside. I had felt so much anxiety and so much like, just, I kept going into this deep dark hole. And a couple of times I did try to talk to James, my husband, about it, but we both were kind of like, it wasn't at the point where I needed to see someone about it or like talk to a therapist. It was just, I was just putting myself in this hole constantly and making myself really uncomfortable, really iffy about everything. It was my 3rd trimester, you know, regular doctor's appointment. So you have doctor's appointments monthly and then they turn into bi-weekly, then weekly, and sometimes daily. So mine were still at the monthly phase, and I was talking to my doctor, and prior to that one, even the last couple, my blood pressure had been relatively higher than normal, and I've never had a blood pressure issue. I've always been like super regular. I've actually never had any crazy like medical health problems, knock on wood. Generally been pretty healthy, but my doctor had sensed really high blood pressure, and she noticed like the last couple of readings were quite high too. Like, it wasn't regular throughout, it was getting higher and higher. And she's like, you know what, I'm gonna have to send you to labor and delivery, and over there they're gonna assess you, they're gonna do some blood work, and we're gonna get down to the bottom of this and figure out what is going on with you. I'm like, okay. She at the time also told me that when it's high blood pressure, they really get scared for something called preeclampsia. Now, preeclampsia can happen to anyone, to any pregnant woman, and it's basically when you show multiple symptoms. So if you have high blood pressure, if you have fevers, headaches, blurry vision, and abnormal swelling. So when you're pregnant, naturally you're gonna swell, but this is like abnormal swelling, to the point where everything hurts, and like places that shouldn't swell also swell up. And I was basically starting to get 2 out of the many symptoms of preeclampsia. And when you have preeclampsia, it just makes things a bit more dangerous for your baby and for the placenta. So the recommendation for treating preeclampsia is usually delivery, and delivery, the earliest that's physically possible. So some people can deliver early in the early 30 weeks. Some people deliver sort of like right when it's full term, which is 37 weeks. I got kind of scared. I'm like, okay, I'm like 31, 32 weeks. I can't remember exactly, but it was something along those lines. And my husband wasn't with me. My parents weren't with me. I was just by myself at the hospital for a regular checkup, and I had no makeup on. I actually looked disgusting that day. I quickly called James and I was like, hey, this is what's happening, and they're sending me to the labor and delivery ward. And he was like, oh God, like, are you delivering the baby today? I'm like, no, everything's okay. I'll let you know if anything crazy is happening, but they just want to do some blood work and do some tests because I look and feel unwell. And I have had high blood pressure. While I was there, they did this thing called a non-stress test. It's an ST. They put monitors around your belly to see the baby's heart rate. They check your heart rate. They constantly check your blood pressure, and they do some blood work to see if everything's okay. You also have to do urine tests. My blood pressure was still consistently high. The baby was monitoring just fine. My blood work seemed okay, but my urine, it had a bit more protein than normal, especially than my normal like readings. So what they did was they put me on this like 24-hour test where I literally had to pee into this huge container. It was so gross. It was like bright orange, and I had to pee the next day, all day next day, into this container. And then James actually brought it back to the hospital so they could assess my urine and how it was for the 24 hours. Another symptom of preeclampsia is if your urine has way too much protein and consistently. Then what my doctor suggested was that they're gonna do these NSTs and all these tests on me, other than like that 24-hour urine thing. They wanted to do testing on me every single week. They had even put me on a prescription for treating high blood pressure. This was because if you consistently have high blood pressure, it can be really, really dangerous for your baby and yourself. So they want to make sure it stays leveled and is monitored so that you can actually deliver when it is the right time. So my doctor still wanted me to try to wait until I was full term and deliver when I was 37 weeks. The point of all the testing each week was if at any point it looked like I had to deliver now, they would have made it happen. We really rushed between the 32 and 37 weeks. We got our whole condo ready. We had told all our family what was going on. We prepared the diaper bag, hospital bag. We prepared for the baby to arrive into our home. There's a lot that we did in those few weeks, and I was a little MIA on social media and stuff just because I was scrambling to get things done. I was also trying to like wrap up work. Fast forward to about 36 weeks, and I had to see a specialist before the doctors could decide, yes, let's deliver on this day. And when I saw the specialist, he looked at all of my tests. He looked at all my results from literally the day I got pregnant or like the day I found out and we did the first initial test to now. And he was trying to detect patterns and see how I was doing. And they had told us this before, but basically our baby was not growing at a regular pace. Like he was growing much slower and slower throughout, and that's scary. He was like, instead of waiting until 38, 39 weeks to see if anything bad could happen, 37 weeks is perfectly safe to deliver your baby. You look healthy right now, so why not do this when you're still healthy? 37 weeks meant literally Christmas Day. I'm not gonna get too much into it because I have linked the birth vlog down below, and over there you can see literally how everything went down from the 24th, 25th, and 26th to the point like when our baby was born. So please go ahead and watch that. Basically, throughout the laboring process, they tried so many different things. They had me on the Foley balloon, they had me on Pitocin, they put the epidural in, they broke my water, I was feeling contractions. Because we tried to make things really, really fast, it actually slowed my body down even more. So they say that epidural does that to you, where it slows everything down. In hindsight, it was probably, if they had just let me like live through my contractions a bit more, maybe for a few more hours, I would have maybe like delivered vaginally, but we were all just hoping for the best and hoping that like everything would move quickly, and it didn't. My cervix and everything just wasn't opening. It wasn't dilating past the 3 to 4 mark, and they had been tracking that for a few hours. My body was basically starting to fail, and they were like, now everything is in distress mode, your baby's in distress, you're in distress, so the best option for us to have everybody safe is to do a C-section. I started bawling. I was bawling my eyes out, not because I didn't want a C-section. To be honest, I actually had a feeling I'd have a C-section baby. Like, I had that feeling way early on in my pregnancy. Both James and I had talked about it, and even when I was writing my birth plan, I wrote that I was totally okay with either delivery. I just wanted to have a safe and healthy baby. It was just that moment of, I think I had just realized how much anxiety I had for the last 37 weeks. Everything kind of hit me like a ton of bricks at once. When they were preparing to get me ready, one of the nurses was like, why are you so upset? Like, what's upsetting you? Talk to me. And no one was in the room at the time, and I was like, I just don't want to lose my baby. it just came out, and that's like, I just realized really quickly why I was so anxious this whole time. I'm not that type of person normally. I'm not that type of person who would constantly have this like deep dark thought in her head, but I did. It was so hard to fight it constantly. So she's like, no, like, this is gonna be safe. She actually reassured me, even though that's not something they do, but she reassured me that my baby's gonna be perfectly fine. I'm gonna be perfectly fine. This is literally the best option, and bless her soul, she literally like saved me, you know, in this like weird deep dark hole moment of mine. She literally picked me up and saved me. My baby just woke up. I'll be right back. When she told me they were going to do C-section, they're like, we're going to start preparing. It's going to take like an hour or so. I kid you not, from the time that she told me to like when I was in the operating room, it was like so fast. It was probably like 20 or 30 minutes. Setup and prep time was maybe 20 to 40 minutes. And they had wheeled me into the operating room. Now, you guys, I have never gotten any sort of surgery in my life. While they were preparing, James couldn't be in the room. He had to be out in the other room because there's actually like 16 to 20 people in that operating room, and each person has a really important job. So one person is monitoring my heart, one person is monitoring this, another person is doing this, one person is literally there to make sure the doctor doesn't mess up, and then one person is there to literally to grab the baby when the baby comes out. Like, there's so many different roles that these I don't know, anywhere from like, I would say 12 to 20 people have. And so they couldn't have James or like another person kind of lingering while they're getting ready for everything. I was basically covered from this area up. They upped my epidural more and put some other stuff in it just so I couldn't feel a thing. They even at one point poked me in different parts of my stomach and around my stomach to see like if it hurt, and it didn't hurt. I remember just like voices. So I remember when they brought James back into the room and he was beside me. I remember when doctors and stuff were saying something to me and I was reacting or whatever, but it was all such a blur, you guys. All of that happened so quickly. I remember they pulled the baby out and they were bringing him like across the room, and I couldn't see his face or anything, but I saw his legs. That was the first thing I saw. Like, I saw these like 2 long legs, and I was like, I screamed, oh my god, his legs, I love him. Those are literally the first things I said. That was my first reaction to my baby. They had brought James over. James took some amazing photos of our newborn son out of the womb, and you know, like when he's getting cleaned up, the blood that was inside me. James was the first one to hold the baby, and he brought him over to me, and I kissed him, I kissed James, and I was like, please take care of him. What happened was my body and my mind, everything just started to shut down, okay? So I was having fainting spells. I was throwing up like crazy. I think I was just reacting to all the medicine and everything that was happening. Obviously, they had to do a big incision. It took about 40 minutes to an hour for them to sew me back up, make sure I was okay, for me to get my consciousness back. James was with the baby in another room, and finally, when I was recovered and feeling better, they wheeled me over there as well, and I was finally able to hold my baby. I still remember that. It was the best moment like ever. We did skin to skin, and he latched on right away, and he was just the sweetest little thing. Like, I'll never forget it. And I was still quite sick. Like, I wasn't fully myself, but it was literally the best moment ever. So that was the C-section delivery. James and I were in this room together for about an hour, and no one else was allowed there. And then after about an hour, they moved us to our actual room where we were going to be staying postpartum, and that's when finally my family was able to come in, and anyone was able to come in and see us and see the baby. So recovery wise, when you have a C-section in Ontario, at least they try to keep you overnight for a couple of days. This is just to monitor you and make sure you're up and at it again, to also help you with the baby, because some people have it really bad where they can't walk, they can't get up. It is a surgery, and it's a major surgery, so you have to be really careful. I was able to walk like maybe after a few hours. I walked really slowly and it hurt like hell, but I was able to walk a little bit, you know, walk myself to the bathroom, that kind of, walk around the room, that kind of thing. Honestly, everything hurt. Like, just thinking back, I had this bed, and the bed could recline, like you could go up or down, and I had to have it in a certain position just so I could feed, and that position hurt like hell. Trying to get up at all was hard, but once I was up, I was okay. And that kind of pain was with me for a few weeks. It's crazy how I'm starting to forget that pain, but I remember like the first few weeks were really hard in terms of getting up and out of bed, lying back down. I had to be on my back constantly. I couldn't be on my side. If I was on my side, I could feel things moving, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. Breastfeeding was difficult too, because I just couldn't get the best position. He was so tiny. My baby was 5 pounds 4 ounces, so getting him into like a really good position was hard, but we managed and we figured it out. We had some really great pillows that worked well as like a cushion for the baby to like be able to reach my breast. We stayed with my parents for the first couple of weeks, and I think that was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. It really helped because James was able to take care of the baby, and they were there to take care of the baby, but my mom and dad took care of me and, you know, helped me get back on my feet, and they cooked for me. My mom, bless her soul, she cooked me amazing meals, and everything was super healthy and like good for me, you know. I felt really good. And my dad was so on it. He was like, no, you shouldn't be walking around, you shouldn't be climbing stairs, please just lie down. Like, all they wanted me to do was rest and not care about anything else. But I remember that first car ride home from the hospital to my parents' house, and that car ride, I was in so much pain, you guys. Like, as we were going through bumps and stuff, I guess my body and my stomach was just hitting the seat as each bump happened, as everything happened, as each stoplight happened. So I was just dying. I was in so much pain, and that continued for a while. When I was in a car, like, I would still feel that pain. I couldn't sit on couches. I couldn't sit on anything that was low. I needed something like sturdy. Otherwise, like, I would sink in and it would be really uncomfortable. It was just pain in a way that I had not prepared for and I had never experienced before, but I'm just happy that I was up and like walking and stuff within, you know, a few hours. The pain, I would say, came and went, but it lasted for about 2 to 3 weeks, I would say. Even I remember when we moved back to our condo, I would still feel the pain when I was lying down. Every now and then I felt pain around my incision, just where the cut was. So I have a scar just like below my stomach from where they pulled out the baby, and you can buy different balms and oils and creams to kind of reduce your scar, but I like to wear my scar with pride. I really like it, and I know that that's how my baby came to life. So I haven't really been putting those kinds of creams on, but I have been oiling it, and I put moisturizer just to make sure everything's okay. When you have a C-section, and probably vaginal birth as well, they kind of tell you not to do anything for about 6 weeks. Let your body heal naturally and do its thing. I waited the 6 weeks to like not do anything. I didn't lift heavy things. They tell you not to lift anything other than your baby. And then when I was at about 7 or 8 weeks, I started working out. Now, before I got pregnant, I was working out like 5 to 7 times a week. I was like intensely going to spin classes, Barry's boot camp, and if not those things, James and I would do workouts at home. But once I got pregnant, I didn't feel like working out. Every time I tried to do anything, I would throw up or feel dizzy or nauseous. It just wasn't going well with my body. So when I was about 7 or 8 weeks postpartum, I'm like, okay, like, let's go down to the gym. I wasn't ready to do anything intense like a spin class yet. I was like, no, it's not gonna be worth it. it. I'm just gonna sit there. So I tried to go down to my gym. I did that the first few times I went to work out, and I couldn't, like the first 2 times I went, I couldn't go past 10 minutes, past 15 minutes, past 20 minutes. Like each day I tried to build my endurance, but it was really hard at first. At 10 minutes I would be out of breath. I was so tired and everything would start to hurt. Like my stomach would really hurt. So I knew I had to be more gentle with myself and my body. So I started to slowly work towards working out more and more and for longer. At about 9 weeks, I think I went to my first spin class, and now I try to go spinning about once a week, and then I'll do a secondary workout. So whether that's at home or, you know, I'll go to a mom and baby workout class, and those are really good. But I like the idea of working out 2 to 3 times. Now that I'm 3 months postpartum, I'm finally starting to see the light of day, if you will. I can do kind of a bigger update on where my baby's at and where I'm at if you would like. Just comment down below or let me know. But you know, we're finally starting to get into a really good groove of things. The first few weeks I was really lost. I'm like, what is this? How do I cope and live my life and raise this baby at the same time? And all I have to say to you mamas and mamas to be gentle and be kind to yourself. I would just say to take the time to appreciate your newborn baby, whether it's a he or a she, and get to know them as much as you can. Also take the time to appreciate yourself and everything that you are doing. So if you are working really hard, you know, you're back at your full-time job and then you have to go home to your baby, you have to cook, whatever you have to do, just be kind. I know that's hard. You're gonna have really hard days, you're gonna have really stressful days. Sometimes I'm scrambling to like make dinner, have Zach in my arms, do my makeup, like so many different things. If you have to at any point let something go, let it go. If you can't make dinner and you need to order pizza every day for 5 days a week, order pizza. I'll say it myself, like I had been told by many people that like your world's gonna shake up and you're not gonna have time for anything, and I was like, no, I'll be okay. And in hindsight, I think I am doing okay. Like I'm able to get a lot of stuff done while having my baby, but not every day is easy. Some days are really hard and the only thing I can do that day is like brush my teeth, you know? Once you kind of grasp that you can't do everything and your list may not get done that day, that week, that month, just embrace it and be like, it's okay, I'm raising a freaking human, okay? And I'm raising a freaking good human, and there's no better mama than you. Wow, you guys, my camera has shut down on me like multiple times now. I have no idea how long this video is gonna be, but I hope you enjoyed my story. I hope you learned something, or I hope it helped you in any sort of way. I know I went on a few tangents here and there, but if you have questions, please comment down below or DM me. I would love to chat with you. Pregnancy, motherhood, all this stuff is like my new favorite topic to talk about. So happy to do that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like to see more of these types of chit-chatty videos. I have so much to say about so many things. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you guys next time. Mwah!